In this video, I'm gonna share 14 years of business lessons in just 15 minutes and all of the things I learned that took me from a broke freelancer to a successful entrepreneur, helping founders build and scale profitable brands with an audience of almost 100,000 people that I built in under 6 months. The first lesson that I learned is that taking risks is the entry cost if you want to be great. Ever since I was in 2nd grade, I started to be really creative and I knew I wanted to build something. I started to make magazines, sell those to the kids in school. Then I was hustling tattoos, drawing those and selling them. Then later I got into music. I did that for most of my life. And then I got into freelancing. I worked jobs. I started a few businesses and now we're here and I'm building my personal brand. But the common theme among all of these different business ventures was that I took endless risks. And at times I was called crazy by my loved ones, by my family, by friends, by the people that were just from the outside looking in. And that's what you gotta accept. You gotta embrace the fact that when you're on this path, if you're really an entrepreneur at heart, if you wanna build stuff, there's no playing it safe. The more risks you take, the higher your chances are to actually become successful. Nobody that is playing it safe in life is actually winning. Nobody is actually building something great. You can look at history, you can study the greatest founders in this world, and you'll see each and every one of them took huge risks, usually while getting called crazy and insane for even dreaming of something bigger than themselves. And the riskiest life you could ever live is one in which you don't take any kind of risk. The second lesson I learned is that the more pain you're willing to go through, the more successful you're going to be. So this kind of ties into the first lesson. But when I say pain, I mean the pain of discipline. In this life, you can choose between the pain of regret and the pain of discipline. And the thing is, when you actually want to build something, you will have to sacrifice a lot of things. You will have to delay the small pleasures right now for something bigger, for the goal that you're actually pursuing. And a lot of people, that's why they quit, because the pain gets too much at times. You will deal with heartbreak, you will deal with disappointment, you will deal with loneliness, with the pain of actually sacrificing what you want in this particular moment, again, for something bigger. And a lot of people cannot stand that. A lot of people are not willing to go through that pain. But if we're talking about building this like superhero, this superhuman, every kind of superhero went through a lot of pain in their life. They went through a lot of obstacles, a lot of hardships, and that is what actually is going to build your character. That is what's going to give you the strength and the qualities required for you to actually succeed. So instead of shying away from the pain, instead of actually being afraid of going through pain, try to embrace that, because that's only going to make you more powerful and equipped more than ever to actually become successful. Now for the third lesson, I learned that focusing on one thing will turn you into a master. And this was a really tough lesson for me to learn, because for a long time I had this shiny object syndrome. I think because of my creativity, I've always been someone who loved just creating stuff, who loved building different projects, different things. So when I was making music, I was dreaming about building businesses. And then when I got into business, I started a creative agency, an e-com store, and an e-learning platform with guitar courses all at the same time. And I was running everything at the same time. And that kind of literally almost killed me, because it was so much pressure. And I wasn't focusing on one particular thing. And from that, I learned that I couldn't possibly master everything all at once. And that was a super valuable lesson for me to learn, and I learned it the hardest way possible, because I almost, like I said, literally died from the stress from being so burnt out. And like I said, if you're just focused on one thing, the progress you can make in 1 year with that, comparing to 5 years of focusing on 6 different business ventures, is just huge. And I saw that now with my personal brand, because I literally went from 0 to over 80,000 followers on my Instagram alone in under 6 months, because I told myself enough. I quit all of my other businesses and I just told myself I'm just going to take everything I learned and double down on my personal brand. So if you're dealing with burnout right now, overthinking, anxiety, or just a lot of stress, try to focus on the thing that you truly want to build in your life the most, become a master at that, and then you can move forward. The next lesson I learned is that the faster you can change, the more you will win. So change in life is inevitable, and change is also the key to actually being successful, to building a successful business. And I see a lot of people running away from change, wanting to stay the same for years and years on ends. But the thing is, that doesn't work. It doesn't work in life, it doesn't work in business, it doesn't work in relationships. Everything is subject to change. Everything will change. So you either embrace that and use that to your favor and kind of like fuel for your entire journey, or you're just afraid of it and you try to dodge it. But the thing is, you cannot run away from change. So being able to change fast and on command almost is gonna give you an unfair advantage. And just to give you an example here, I made music for almost 14 years of my life. That was my entire life. That was my dream life, my dream career. But it got to one point where I realized I couldn't be myself. I couldn't fully be who I wanted to be in the music industry. And so I had to make a decision. I had to just change my entire career. And everyone, especially my family, was looking at me like I was crazy. Like, to them, it seemed like I'm just giving up on things. So I had to deal with a lot of pressure from the outside as well. But to me, honestly, it was the easiest decision that I've ever made, because I knew that was only a chapter in my journey. And it was the end of the chapter, but not the end of the book. And so being able to change that actually propelled me forward, because then I didn't go into business with regret. I didn't quit music with regret. I was like, I'm so happy and grateful for this chapter, but now I'm ready for the next one. And from the outside looking in, that might seem almost like a failure. Like I said, that might seem crazy to people. But the secret is, a lot of people just change due to some trauma or pain in their life. But then there are some people who can change on command. And I try to do that every 6 months or 1 year. I try to completely 180 and change myself and level up. And like I said, the more you can do that, the more you will win. Because while others are being stuck in their old ways, you're letting go of that old you so that the new you can come in and actually propel you forward and make you more successful. The fifth lesson is a huge one, and that is pricing yourself is an art. I made my first money online as a freelancer doing graphic design, doing logos, websites, and all of that. And for the longest time, I was heavily underpaid. And then also while working a job, I was underpaid. And then when I started my businesses, my creative agency, even my e-com store, I was not charging enough. I didn't know how to price myself, my products, my services. And then as a result of that, I was really frustrated. And for the longest time, most of my life, I tended to blame others. I tended to blame the clients that I was working with, saying it's their fault that I'm not getting paid enough. But here's the thing, if you don't ask, nobody's gonna give you what you think you're worth. So a lot of people I see that they don't know their value, first and foremost, and then they're so afraid of actually asking what they think they're worth. So pricing yourself is an art. When you're going into business, you have to be ruthless in terms of negotiating. Now, you cannot do this obviously as a beginner, like when you're just starting out, because essentially you don't have any kind of value. But for me, for example, right now, I'm at a point where I have all of these different skills. I've built a huge audience, I'm building my personal brand, I'm building all of these systems. And now that I have this platform, I'm no longer underpaid like before, because now I get to price myself for the actual value that I have. And I don't shy away from it. And that's the thing, you have to understand, no matter what business you're in, no matter what niche you're in, you have to understand not everyone in this world is gonna be your customer. Your job is to find the people who are ideal customers for you and the people who you really can help. Not everyone is gonna be your customer, and that's fine. You will get some people saying that your price is too high, but it doesn't matter, because again, your job is to find those people who can actually afford what you're selling and that you can actually serve. And pricing yourself correctly is a skill in and of itself that I see a lot of entrepreneurs, content creators, they tend to neglect it saying, oh, it's fine, I'm gonna do this for this amount of money, even though I know I'm worth more. So don't shy away from it and work on that skill, because that's a huge one if you wanna level up in business. This next lesson was such a rough one, but it's this: lone wolves don't survive harsh winters. Now, what I mean by this is that if you're just by yourself, you cannot truly build something great. You cannot truly go far. You cannot really become the most successful version of yourself. And for most of my life, I was that lone wolf. And it was difficult because some events in my past made me think that people aren't worth it. And so I kind of took on this mentality of, I'm just gonna do it by my own. I don't need anyone to do anything. I'm gonna do everything by myself. But as soon as I got into business, I realized that that doesn't work. Your business is only as powerful as your team. If you're just by yourself, it's impossible to take it to that amazing level. Now, sure, you can make some money, you can achieve some sort of success, but if you want to build, look at the biggest companies, like Steve Jobs wasn't alone. Everybody's talking about Steve Jobs, but he had a huge, amazing team that really helped him take Apple to what it currently is. And the same goes for every single huge company or entrepreneur. Sure, you might start by yourself, like that lone wolf who's being judged and deemed crazy by others. But if you really want to scale, if you really want to build a powerful ecosystem, you need people. And this doesn't mean you need to be best friends with everyone you meet and work with every single person you meet. It just means that you need to keep an open mind, provide value to people, and being open to actually reaching out for help and collaborating with people and actually delegating as well, because you cannot do everything by yourself. And believe me, I learned it the hard way, and that's the fastest way to burning out. The last lesson that I want to share with you is perhaps the most important one. And it's that relationships matter more than sales. When you're in business, it might seem like everything is about the numbers. Everything is about the reports, the sales, the CPCs, the CPAs, everything is about the metrics, but it's not like that. If you really want to build something successful, what I've learned is that building those powerful, meaningful connections with people, with your team, with other founders, with other people that are like-minded, is far more important than you getting some sales. Because money comes and goes, but having powerful relationships, connections with people, especially like-minded individuals, is gonna help you so much more, I promise, than just a few dollars, a few numbers on a screen. Sure, sales are important, but when it comes to you actually building, especially a team, it doesn't start with the numbers, it starts with the people. The best advice that I got from a really successful CEO was that it starts with the people. So unless you really develop that core, especially in your company, and you make it about them, you're not going to truly take it to the next level if you're just obsessed with the numbers. And I see a lot of people, they don't understand what that entails, what providing true value means. But it's so powerful, because when you understand how to actually build the foundations for amazing relationships, not only your business, but also your life is just going to get to the next level. And that's what I'm trying to do now. Network with as many entrepreneurs, as many creators as possible, and be of use, be of service, and actually be there for people, provide the value that I couldn't provide when I was younger. And now, not only do I get benefits from that, but I also get a true satisfaction in the sense that I'm helping and I'm building connections that last far more than a couple of sales. So I really hope these 7 lessons were valuable to you. And honestly, if I had known these 14 years ago, it would have saved me years and years of burnout, stress, depression, a lot of anxiety, a lot of pressure. So hopefully they were valuable. If they were, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.